Most people believe witchcraft works because someone else has power over them. That belief alone is the doorway. I will tell you this calmly. Nothing touches you unless it finds permission inside you first. Fear opens the gate. Emotional chaos invites interference. A scattered mind is easy to enter. In the next 60 seconds, I will show you how to close every door, not by fighting darkness, but by becoming unreachable to it. People believe power lives outside of them. They believe someone else can think a thought, speak a word, perform a ritual, and suddenly their life is affected. But that belief itself is the weakness. Nothing external can override inner authority unless you have already abandoned it. Influence does not break in, it is invited. And most invitations happen unconsciously. Inner authority is not confidence. It is not ego. It is not loudness. Inner authority is the quiet knowing of who you are and where you stand. When that knowing is stable, nothing interferes with it. When it is unstable, everything seems dangerous. This is why two people can face the same situation. One feels attacked, the other feels untouched. The difference is not protection, it is posture. The world is full of noise. Words, symbols, threats, stories. These things have no power by themselves. They only activate something that already exists inside you. If a person fears being controlled, control finds them. If a person fears being cursed, the idea of a curse begins to live in the mind. And once it lives in the mind, the body follows. The heart tightens. Sleep is disturbed. Focus weakens. Life begins to feel heavy. People call this external attack, but it is internal surrender. Authority begins the moment you stop asking, can this affect me? And start standing in the answer, it does not. Not as denial, as certainty. Certainty is felt, not declared. You cannot fake it. The body knows when you are grounded and when you are pretending. When authority is real, it does not react. Reaction is the first sign of loss of control. The one who reacts is already being led. Think of a locked door. A locked door does not argue with someone trying to enter. It does not shout. It does not explain. It simply remains closed. Inner authority works the same way. When something comes toward you, fear, rumor, accusation, or spiritual threat, you do not chase it with thought. You do not analyze it. You do not emotionally engage. You remain still. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is command. Most people lose authority through emotional leakage. They worry too much. They imagine too much. They speak too much. Every unnecessary thought is a small opening. Every emotional overreaction is a crack in the structure. And then they wonder why they feel drained, confused, or affected. Energy follows attention. Wherever your attention goes, your authority goes with it. When you give attention to fear, fear becomes your leader. To reclaim authority, you must return to your center. Breath slows, spine aligns, feet connect to the ground. Not as a ritual, but as a state of being. When the body is organized, the mind settles. When the mind settles, fear dissolves. And when fear dissolves, nothing external can find a place to land. This is why presence is so powerful. Presence is authority in action. Those who try to protect themselves through objects, words, or defenses misunderstand the root. Protection implies vulnerability. Authority removes the need for protection. A person who knows who they are does not need shields. They are the boundary, and boundaries do not fight, they define. You do not become immune by attacking darkness. You become immune by being whole. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions move together, you become solid, and what is solid cannot be penetrated. Stand there unmoved and nothing passes through you. Fear is not just an emotion. It is a signal, and it is the only signal certain forces know how to read. Fear announces openness. It announces confusion. It announces that the mind has stepped away from the present moment and is now living in imagined futures. This is why fear is so valuable to manipulation. Not because it is powerful, but because it is loud. Nothing dark moves through strength. It moves through cracks, and fear is the widest crack of all. The moment fear appears, the body reacts. Breath becomes shallow, muscles tighten. The mind starts searching for danger. In that state, you are no longer leading yourself. You are being led by instinct. An instinct, when unchecked, is easy to steer. This is why stories of witchcraft, curses, and unseen attacks spread so easily. They trigger imagination. Imagination fuels fear. Fear fuels attention. Attention gives energy. Once energy is given, the mind begins to look for proof. Every small inconvenience becomes evidence. Every bad moment feels connected. The person believes something is happening to them, when in reality, something is happening inside them. Understand this clearly. Fear does not protect you. Fear exposes you. The body cannot be both afraid and grounded at the same time. The mind cannot be both panicked and present. When fear enters, presence leaves. And when presence leaves, the illusion begins. Calmness is not passivity. Calmness is a closed system. When you are calm, there is no movement to grab onto, no reaction to hook into, no emotional surge to amplify. Fear creates vibration. Calmness creates silence. And silence is unreadable. Nothing can work on what it cannot read. Most people try to fight fear with logic or reassurance. That rarely works. Fear does not live in thought, it lives in the body. So why? Oh, do not argue with it. You slow down. You breathe deeper. You relax the jaw, the shoulders, the belly. The body receives the message first. There is no threat here. When the body settles, the mind follows. And once the mind follows, fear dissolves on its own. Notice how fear always wants a reaction. It wants you to talk about it, research it, ask others about it, repeat the story. Every repetition strengthens it. This is why silence is so powerful. Silence breaks the loop. Silence starves fear of oxygen. Without expression, fear collapses back into nothing. Those who appear protected are not using secret methods. They simply do not entertain fear. They do not give emotional response to every rumor or suggestion. They remain neutral. Neutrality is not ignorance, it is mastery. When someone tells them something threatening, they listen without absorbing. The words arrive, and then they pass. Nothing sticks. This is why fear-based attacks fail against disciplined minds. Discipline does not mean harshness. It means regulation. The ability to feel without losing control. To observe without reacting. To hear without believing. When fear finds no emotional echo inside you, it has nowhere to live. Witchcraft, manipulation, psychological influence, none of it survives without fear. Remove fear, and you remove the language. Remove the language, and the message disappears. There is nothing left to translate. Stay calm, and you become invisible to what feeds on fear. Most people think influence enters through the mind, but long before the mind is touched, the body is already open. Emotional discipline is not about suppression. It is about containment. When emotions spill without direction, they create openings, and anything that is open can be entered. Anger, jealousy, desire, obsession, resentment, these emotions are not wrong, but when they are uncontrolled, they weaken structure. Think of the body like a vessel. When emotions surge wildly, the vessel cracks. Energy leaks. Focus scatters. The person feels tired, reactive, and unstable without knowing why. In T state, it does not take effort for something to interfere. The door is already open. Uncontrolled emotion pulls you out of the present moment. Anger drags you into the past. Anxiety throws you into the future. Desire stretches you toward what you do not have. Each one removes you from here. And the moment you leave the present, you abandon command. You are no longer standing in your body. You are chasing a feeling. This is why emotional people are easily influenced. Not because they are weak, but because they are uncontained. Their energy is everywhere. They speak quickly. They react immediately. They express everything they feel. This may look honest, but it is dangerous. Expression without discipline is exposure. Emotional discipline does not mean becoming cold. It means choosing when and how emotion moves. A disciplined person still feels deeply, but they do not let feelings steer the body. They allow the emotion to rise, they observe it, and they decide what to do next. That pause is power. In that pause, nothing external can take control. Notice how emotional spikes weaken you physically. After intense anger, the body feels drained. After obsession, the mind feels foggy. After fear, the chest feels tight. These are not coincidences. The body responds to emotional chaos by losing coherence, and incoherence is vulnerability. When the body is emotionally regulated, it becomes sealed. Breath moves smoothly. Posture stays upright. The nervous system remains calm. In T state, the body does not broadcast distress. There is no signal for interference to follow. Nothing is calling out. Many people unknowingly open themselves by indulging emotion. They replay conversations. They imagine revenge. They feed resentment. They cling to desire. Every repetition strengthens the emotional charge. And the stronger the charge, the wider the opening. This is why discipline begins with restraint of attention. You do not chase every feeling. You let it pass through without attachment. Silence plays a role here as well. When emotion arises, the impulse is to speak it, to release it through words. But constant, emotional speech leaks power. Not every feeling needs a voice. Some feelings need space. When you remain silent, the emotion settles faster. When you speak compulsively, it stays alive. A disciplined body becomes unreadable. Calm eyes, steady breath, relaxed shoulders, no urgency, no excess movement. This does not mean you are passive. It means you are contained, and containment creates pressure. Pressure creates strength. This is why presence alone can shut down manipulation. A calm, emotionally disciplined person does not absorb projections. Other people's emotions hit the surface and fall away. There is nothing inside to latch onto. No matching frequency. When emotions are disciplined, the body becomes a closed circuit. Energy circulates internally instead of leaking outward, and what does not leak cannot be taken. Seal the emotions, and the body becomes a fortress. Everything that tries to influence you depends on distance. Distance from the body, distance from the breath, distance from this moment. The moment you drift, imagination takes over. And imagination is where illusion lives. Presence ends that instantly. Most people do not realize how rarely they are actually here. Their body is in one place, but the mind is replaying old conversations, predicting problems, or constructing stories about what might happen. This wandering creates a gap, and in that gap, symbols gain meaning, words gain weight, and ideas begin to feel real even when they are not. Witchcraft, psychological manipulation, and fear-based influence all rely on this same mechanism. They work through suggestion, through imagery, through narrative. They do not attack the body directly. They distract the mind and wait for the body to follow. When the mind leaves the present, the body becomes unguarded. Presence shuts this down completely. Presence is not a technique. It is a return. A return to breath, weight, and sensation. When you feel the ground beneath your feet, the air entering your lungs, the movement of the chest, illusion collapses. It cannot survive direct contact with reality. Stories dissolve when the body is felt. Notice how fear always pulls you away from now. It says something is coming. Something has been done. Something is happening behind the scenes. None of that exists in this moment. In this moment, you are breathing. You are standing or sitting. Your heart is beating. That is real. Everything else is a projection. The moment you fully occupy the present, the nervous system stabilizes. The breath deepens. The senses sharpen. And when the senses sharpen, imagination loses authority. You stop living in symbols and return to experience. Influence has no place to attach to experience. It only attaches to interpretation. This is why rituals, threat, and symbolic acts feel powerful to those who are mentally distant. The mind fills in the gaps. It assigns meaning. It connects unrelated events. Presence cuts those connections. It brings you back to what is actually happening instead of what is being suggested. A present person is difficult to manipulate because they are not drifting. When something is said to them, they hear the words, not the story behind the words. When something happens, they observe the event, not the meaning attached to it. This clarity makes them steady, and steadiness breaks illusion. Presence also returns authority to the body. The body knows when it is safe. The body knows when something is real. But when the mind dominates, the body's signals are ignored. Presence reverses this. You listen again. You feel again. And feeling grounds you. You do not need to visualize protection. You do not need to imagine barriers. You need to arrive. Fully. Completely. Right now, when you arrive, the mind quiets. And when the mind quiets, influence disappears. Even strong emotional triggers weaken in the face of presence. Anger dissolves when you feel the heat in the chest without reacting. Fear fades when you observe the breath instead of the thought. Desire loses control when sensation is felt without pursuit. Presence does not suppress, it reveals, and in revealing it frees. This is why masters speak so little and move so slowly. Slowness keeps them here. Silence keeps them here. Their power is not mystical, it is practical. They do not leave themselves. Illusion requires absence. Presence removes it entirely. Stay here, and nothing false can stand. Most people do not realize how much power they give away through words. Talking, explaining, complaining, repeating the story. Every word carries energy. Every word is a signal. When you speak about curses, attacks, enemies, or fear, you are feeding something that should not be fed. Silence is not absence. Silence is refusal. Silence is the ultimate withdrawal of permission. When you talk about interference, the energy you give creates life for it. It takes the abstract and makes it concrete. You think you are warning yourself or preparing yourself, but you are actually strengthening the very thing you fear. The mind does not differentiate between imagination and reality when it is emotionally charged. The more attention you give, the more space it occupies. Words are fuel. Attention is oxygen. Silence is suffocation. Think about the body for a moment. The body responds to thought, to emotion, to woe. RDS. When you verbalize fear, the muscles tighten. The heart rate rises. The nervous system signals alert. You have just invited influence to connect. When you remain silent, the body remains steady. When the body is steady, influence cannot touch it. You are effectively unreadable. Many people think sharing a problem is necessary for relief. They believe telling someone about a curse, a threat, or a bad intention will protect them. This is a mistake. Sharing is not neutral, it is energy transfer. The more energy you give away, the weaker your internal structure becomes, and the weaker your structure, the easier it is to manipulate. Silence is a strategy. It does not mean ignoring reality. It does not mean pretending the attack does not exist. It means containing your energy, controlling your attention, and refusing to empower forces that thrive on exposure. Think of it as closing the gates. Once the gates are closed, nothing enters because nothing is invited. Notice how silence transforms presence. A silent person commands space without speaking. They do not react to provocation. They do not offer explanation. They observe. Observation is power. Reaction is weakness. Every unnecessary word you speak is a vibration that travels far beyond your awareness. Every story you repeat is a signal others can intercept. When you remove that vibration, you remove the channel entirely. Silence also sharpens discernment. When you do not fill every moment with speech, the mind becomes clearer. You can sense what is real and what is suggestion. You can feel when influence is being directed toward you and when it is harmless. Talking constantly clouds this sensitivity. Silence refines it. The quieter you are, the more precise your perception. Think of those who seem untouchable. They do not announce their battles. They do not spread their struggles. They do not speculate about attacks or enemies. Their energy is contained. Their attention is controlled. They do not waste life force on fear. And because of this, nothing sticks. The world may throw everything at them, but it slides past without effect. The power of silence is simple, but it requires discipline. It requires resisting the urge to explain, to justify, to warn, or to repeat. It requires a steady mind and a grounded body. But when mastered, silence becomes more than a habit. It becomes a shield, a fortress, a statement. Silence says, I will not feed what should die. Stop giving energy to what does not belong to you. Stop talking about what cannot touch you when you are whole. Withdraw attention. Withdraw words. Withdraw permission. Silence everything that does not serve your stability. The moment you do this, influence loses its voice. Alignment is not about perfection. It is not about doing everything right or appearing flawless. Alignment is about coherence, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions move together in the same direction, like a river flowing without interruption. When there is coherence, there is force. When there is force, nothing external can push you off course. Misalignment, on the other hand, creates gaps. Gaps invite interference. Gaps invite doubt. Gaps invite attack, whether seen or unseen. Most people live fragmented lives. They think one thing, feel another, and act in a completely different way. Their energy is scattered. They react to every disturbance. They chase the next desire, nurse the last grievance, and constantly shift between what is and what should be. This scattering weakens the inner structure. It makes them permeable. It creates openings for influence, manipulation, and confusion. Alignment closes those openings without effort. Alignment begins with self-honesty. You cannot align what you do not acknowledge. You must see your desires, your fears, your intentions clearly. You must know what you are willing to do and what you refuse to allow. Without clarity, alignment is impossible. Once clarity exists, every decision becomes easier because you are no longer pulled in conflicting directions. Every decision reinforces your structure. Every choice strengthens your presence. Energy follows coherence. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions are scattered, your energy leaks in multiple directions. You are like a signal being broadcast on too many frequencies at once. The signal becomes weak, inconsistent, and easy to disrupt. But when coherence exists, energy flows in one strong channel. There is no leakage. The signal Beko, mess clear, strong, and untouchable. Influence has nothing to latch onto because it cannot match the force of a focused current. Alignment also protects the mind. External attacks, illusions, and manipulations feed on confusion. When your mind wavers, when your attention drifts, when your actions contradict your values, influence finds entry point. But when alignment is present, the mind becomes a closed system. Every thought reinforces the next. Every decision reflects the same truth. The body and the mind no longer contradict each other. An external disturbance meets an immovable barrier. Many people think alignment is only about behavior. It is not. It is about intention. It is about energy. It is about the inner state that precedes action. A person can act correctly outwardly but still be misaligned internally, and that inner gap will weaken their presence. True alignment is invisible but undeniable. It radiates without words. It commands without aggression. It repels without confrontation. Notice how aligned people move. Their pace is steady. Their speech is measured. Their actions flow naturally from thought and feeling. There is no hesitation, no overreaction, no unnecessary struggle. Everything fits. Everything has weight. This coherence creates an invisible field of authority. It is not mystical. It is practical. It is natural. And it cannot be violated because nothing inside contradicts it. Alignment requires constant awareness. Life presents distractions, temptations, and challenges. Every time you drift from your center, you must recognize it, correct it, and return. This is not rigidity, it is vigilance. It is the cultivation of a consistent inner structure that external chaos cannot shake. Over time, alignment becomes automatic. The body, mind, and spirit respond as one. Influence, interference, and manipulation cannot survive in that space because they rely on fragmentation, inconsistency, and confusion. When alignment becomes your natural state, you are untouchable, not because nothing happens to you, but because everything that happens passes through without leaving impact. Your energy is coherent. Your mind is clear. Your body is grounded. You are whole, and wholeness cannot be penetrated. Life aligned, and you become a force no darkness can enter.